again, everybody, and welcome back. I am now at week 5 after my surgery, so it seems like it's been a really long time, and also like it's gone really fast these first 5 weeks. I think the last week or so I've noticed a little bit of difference. I definitely have more movement and mobility. I feel like in my mouth, I guess some of the swelling goes down. But obviously there's still things that I notice that are numb or still inflamed. I'm definitely more inflamed on my right side, and it's just more painful and like harder to open my jaw on that side or to chew on the right side. But also in the last maybe couple of days even, I feel like I've noticed a bit of a shift in my energy level. So even up through recently, like I was still feeling really tired. I would get really worn out by the end of the day and just like have to go to bed really early. And now I'm feeling like I just have a little bit better energy, not feeling quite so fatigued or kind of worn out during the day. I can do a little bit more in my workouts, which is nice, and then I don't feel so depleted afterwards. So I feel like I'm recovering a little bit better. I'm still sleeping a lot, but doesn't feel like quite the same in those first couple of weeks where it was like I was really like recovering and needing just a ton of sleep. So now it feels a little more normal, I guess, which is nice. Eating is still a challenge. It's still pretty slow, and still have to kind of like take really small bites and chew carefully, and like have to consciously try to chew on both sides of my mouth, because like I said, it is much harder to chew on the right side. It's just a little more painful and a little bit harder to open wide. So trying to just kind of practice that. I did see my orthodontist yesterday for the first time. All we did was take some updated photos to pass along to my surgeon. And then we're going to wait another month and do updated CBCT scan, which is just like the 3D scan of my entire like head and jaw. And I think we're going to wait even another month after that or so to start actually doing more orthodontic treatment. So making sure that I'm really well healed and can kind of like, open my mouth, obviously, and that they can work on stuff. So still have a way to go, but it's getting a little bit better, and just kind of keep progressing each day and each week. So this week I wanted to talk a little bit more about the things that have been the most helpful for me getting through these first like 4 to 5 weeks. The things that I really relied on, or I just have found really useful as part of the healing process. So for anybody that is either going through this recovery or getting ready for this surgery, hopefully some of this might be helpful for you, or just maybe some good ideas for what you might want to have on hand or use during recovery time. So the first thing that I think I would probably use the most is the water flosser. Now, I did talk a little bit about this in my video about braces. I had a water pick water flosser that I had gotten back when I got my braces on, but actually when I went to Spain, the clinic gave me a really nice like large plug-in model. So I'll show you. This is the one that they gave me, and I like this one better. It just works better. It's a little bit clunkier because you have to have it like plugged in. You can't like, the other one was portable. I could like take it in the shower, kind of can spray everywhere and stuff, but this one is really nice. It holds a lot more water. I think it's more powerful. It has a whole bunch of different settings and also different like attachments that you can use. And I literally have been using this like 3 or more times a day. So every time that I eat, again, because it's hard to chew and because of the braces, like food just gets stuck everywhere and it feels kind of gross. So whenever I eat, I just end up using this water flosser afterwards, and it's been really helpful because it is still kind of hard to brush my teeth really well, and I definitely like can't really floss and like maneuver around in there enough. So I feel like this has been really, really helpful to just help keep my teeth clean and just kind of keep my mouth feeling pretty good. So definitely would recommend having a water flosser around if possible. The next thing that has been super helpful is protein powder. So, especially for that first week, actually, really like the first 2 to 3 weeks first week when I was on an all liquid diet, definitely having protein powder to be able to get enough protein in was super, super important for me. I really did not have much of an appetite, and I really didn't have an appetite for any like savory food. So even like soup or anything that I can maybe have pureed or eat in liquid form just had no appeal to me. And the only thing that really sounded pretty good was cold smoothies. So I made a ton of smoothies and just used protein powder to make sure that I was getting enough protein, especially for that like initial recovery phase where your body's really trying to repair and rebuild. Getting enough protein is super important. And there's a ton of protein powders out there. There's a lot of good ones out there now. Maybe just kind of read the ingredients in case there's anything that you're trying to avoid if you have any preferences on that. Some of them will have some, like weird additives and stuff, but I definitely found that protein powder was really helpful, and I've even used it going forward, like because even now that I can chew some foods, like protein can be a little bit harder to chew or harder to maybe find options that are really easy for me to eat right now. So if I find that it's hard to get still enough protein, I'll just supplement with some extra protein powder throughout the day. So that has been super helpful. Along the same lines, another supplement that I've been using is athletic greens, which is a greens powder. This is something that I actually used off and on for a long time, but I knew I wanted to have it on hand during my recovery. Again, just when it's harder to maybe get enough nutrients in or to eat a lot of food. I felt like this was just helpful because you just mix it with water and you drink it, and it's got a ton of good vitamins and minerals. It's got some probiotics, and just it's like maybe kind of taking a multivitamin, but I think maybe in a little bit more of a digestible form. I don't think it's gonna be a miracle cure for anything, or it's not gonna be a substitute for good overall nutrition, but I do think it can help cover your bases. I use it a lot when traveling or if I don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And so I just found it to be another thing that has been helpful for me to feel like I'm getting good quality nutrients in and just kind of covering those bases throughout the recovery process. The next thing that has been on my list of things that I have really been using a lot and found helpful is my Neti Pot. So if you're not familiar with a Neti Pot, it's a way to basically clear out your nose and your sinuses. It's just basically nasal irrigation, very similar to using like a saline spray, except that you're gonna fill this with some salt and some water and basically pour it into your nose and it comes out the other side. It sounds kind of terrible. It's a little bit hard to get used to if you've never used it. I actually started using a Neti Pot many years ago after I had my deviated septum surgery, and I found it really helpful for that healing process as well. And I just kind of got sort of addicted to it because I really liked how it really made just my whole nose and sort of nasal passages feel more clear, easier to just blow my nose and kind of get snuff out, especially maybe in the winter or when your nose is feeling more snuffed out. But when I finally was able to blow my nose, I was really excited to use my Neti Pot, and as gross as it is, it really a lot of stuff came out, and it's been really helpful for kind of clearing out my ears too. So as I've been using the Neti Pot and kind of clearing out my sinuses and blowing my nose, a lot of the pressure in my ears has been reduced, and that's been awesome because that was really bothering me for a long time. So Neti Pot, if you want to give it a try, I'm sure you can Google and find out more than you ever want to know about it, but I would highly recommend giving that a try, or even just some saline spray if that is more feasible for you to use. I've also been using Epsom salts a lot, taking Epsom salt baths. And this is, again, something that I have used regularly for a long time. But after my surgery, when really for the first couple of weeks, my whole body felt really inflamed. I just was really sort of sore all over. and kind of puffy. And Epsom salt baths can help reduce pain and inflammation. It's also just really soothing, kind of a nice thing to do like before bed. It makes you sleepy, but I've been really especially loving my Epsom salt bath when I've been feeling just kind of tired and sore or just kind of uncomfortable, inflamed. I do really feel like it does help reduce that pain and inflammation. Even if it's just a placebo effect, I don't know, but it works for me. It makes me feel a lot better. It's a really simple and easy thing you can do if you have access to a bathtub and some Epsom salts. Highly recommend giving that a shot. In the last couple of weeks, I've also been doing a little bit more like movement and soft tissue work, which I think at this point, I know I have a lot of like soft tissue adjustment that still needs to happen, kind of just in my jaw, my face, my head. So my head and neck have felt kind of tight. It has gotten a lot better just with time, but also maybe getting a massage, doing some yoga, any kind of like just general gentle movement that can help with the blood flow and kind of just maybe reduce some tension. If you have that accessible to you, definitely would recommend any kind of soft tissue work. Cranial sacral work I think would be really amazing, like fascial work. I think there's a lot of adjustments that all the muscles, ligaments, tendons, fascia has to do after the surgery, and part of that will just be as the inflammation goes down over time. But I have found it to be helpful to have some kind of soft tissue work done, and also just getting more movement in to be pretty helpful with getting some of that tension down and just kind of making my whole head feel a lot better. The last two things are, maybe just sort of things that I found helpful. I don't know if everybody will find this helpful, but one of them was reading out loud. So I was really encouraged after my surgery to talk as much as possible and to like read out loud as a way to start moving my mouth, to really try to get some of that muscle tone back and help with the inflammation. And when we were in Spain, I had a David Sedaris book of his essays, and I was reading those out loud to my family, and it was hilarious. Not only because I sounded like this, but way worse because I had much less movement on my mouth. Like I could barely talk. It sounded ridiculous. But David Sedaris is hilarious. If you're not familiar with him, just Google him and like listen to some of his stuff. But if you have something that's kind of like fun or funny that you can read out loud as a way to practice talking, it's kind of entertaining. It makes it a little bit more fun. It also made me laugh, which I think was just probably good for my like psyche in general, but also kind of stretched my face and again got all those muscles moving, and was just kind of a good way to pass the time and to get that practice talking and speaking as soon as I could. So maybe try reading out loud or even singing. That was another thing I kind of did, was like just try singing out loud for fun and as a way to move my mouth and make it a little more enjoyable to practice talking and stuff, because it is a little bit uncomfortable, especially at the very beginning. So talking out loud, singing, whatever is kind of a fun way to do that, give it a try. And then the last thing, again, is another thing that I've done for a long time, but I have found it kind of interesting to track my heart rate, basically my resting heart rate in the morning. I also do heart rate variability measurement, which there are a lot of like smartwatches or apps out there now that you can do that. It is a way to measure basically your body's stress and recovery. So one way you can do that is just by taking your resting heart rate first thing in the morning, like when you wake up, see what your heart rate is. If your heart rate is elevated, like from what it either might usually be or just seems kind of elevated, it's a sign that your body is maybe under a little bit of stress or trying to recover. So definitely for me, like the first several weeks, even now, my resting heart rate is still elevated. It's gotten a lot better, but it's just something that I've been keeping track of as a way to sort of measure where my recovery is at and how my body is doing. And noticing that it's coming down, that's been kind of nice to see that it is starting to come down. But I think that's kind of an interesting way if you're really looking for more of like an objective measure of where your body is at, how you're recovering. Just start tracking your resting heart rate in the morning. If you have like an Apple Watch or maybe some other kind of like smartwatch or something like that, a lot of them do have also the HRV, the heart rate variability capability. So you could look into that if you want to go a little deeper into the like measuring your body's recovery process. But again, just measuring your own heart rate first thing in the morning or kind of at the same time in the morning every day, and see how the ups and downs there can be a really great way to measure your recovery, your stress level, and just kind of see how your body's doing. So for me, that's been just kind of a good way for me to get some actual like numerical data on how my body is recovering, and just something I find kind of interesting. So that is my little summary of my first 5 weeks and the things that I have found really helpful to have on hand or to use throughout this recovery period. Hopefully, if, like I said, if you're getting ready for the surgery, if you're already in the recovery phase, maybe some of that will be helpful for you. If you have any questions about any of these things, please leave me a comment. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I will do another update next week on how things are going. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And thank you as always for watching. I will talk to you guys soon.